This is Call on the Field Stands. We got the Super Bowl preview coming up, along with some NFL season wrap-up. I, Jeff Mapis, got some Mystic Mama here from Jackie O's Brewery down in Athens, Ohio. And Ryan, I see you got the old, reliable
King of beers.
Yes.
Bud Heavy.
Can't go wrong.
Per usual. Special Cleveland Cavaliers can.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Kind of make it taste worse.
Yeah, they suck right now. Miss the old days of having LeBron James on our team.
Well, we drink these Bud Heavy cans, see Cleveland Cavs logo on them. Makes watching the games a little bit easier.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Slam 6 of these. Tolerable TV.
I was actually at the Cavs Bulls game.
Bro, your seats were sick as fuck.
Yeah, so my brother is a sports director at a YMCA. He kind of got thrown. He's still going to school. He kind of got recommended by an AD in our hometown. So pretty cool hookup for him. But they have this hookup with the Cavs that gave him 10 tickets. We had 10 tickets.
That's sick.
From where we were.
Dude, you were
we were right behind
or something like that.
Yeah, we were right behind the Bulls bench. So yeah, it was pretty cool. Obviously, the Cavs sucked. I mean, they were playing well in the first half, and then all of a sudden,
the Cavs refuse to run anything resembling an actual NBA offense. Like, they do nothing offensively.
Yeah.
They have bottom 5 in assists per game. They have basically no ball rotation. I don't even know if they call plays, to be honest. But that's neither here nor there. They suck.
Yeah.
And their defense is complete hot garbage.
Zach LaVine went for he had 39 at one point. I think he scored more in the fourth quarter. But yeah, he checked in and the scoreboard refreshed to list his stats, and my brother looked at each other and we're like, "Whoa, what the fuck?
When did that happen?" Yeah, they do not play defense and don't run a functioning offense.
Their defense is so
ISO
bad.
Ball on offense, and their defensive rotations are atrocious.
Yeah,
and they have a bunch of guys who are slow as fuck, like Kevin Love.
Yeah,
who still does not know how to play defense.
It's going to take a while for them to rebuild.
I mean, they're inexperienced. They'll get their shit together one of these days, hopefully. They need somebody. It's weird because how are you going to, like, how many teams in the league, and we'll get into NBA another time, but just real quick to get this point off my chest, how many teams in the league, their star player, their whole team is around a point guard who is a small dude? Like, I don't even know if there's really, Dame Lillard, but their team is pretty well-rounded. Like, their best 2 players, or their, next up-and-coming next 2 guys are both point guards. And they play on the court same time sometimes. Like, how are you going to build around a guy who's your point guard who's not, like, the best? Like, Kyrie can't even really do shit on his own. Like, and he's one of the better point guards.
They're not really the players to build around. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
They can be decent, but we need the roster is just not balanced at all right now.
But maybe he'll get there. Keep sucking. Eventually, though. Yeah. Somebody will fall in their lap, hopefully. But so the sports world was shaken up a little bit, obviously, with the news of Kobe Bryant passing in a very tragic way, obviously, with his daughter. I believe she was like 13, and there were 9 total fatalities in that accident, and they were all heading to a basketball tournament out in California. So tragic accident. Kobe specifically is getting the most attention, rightfully so. Obviously, you feel bad for every family member involved in that type of tragedy. But Kobe, because this is a sports podcast, is going to get the attention. And he is obviously a sports icon. And for people our age, Ryan, mid to upper 20s, low 30s, he was like the first big-time superstar in the NBA that I can remember, at least growing up, to where you really, you just always followed him. I mean, it's the whole thing with anytime you did a fadeaway jumper, or even if you're throwing a crumpled-up piece of paper into the trash, you're yelling Kobe. Kobe!
I mean, he was a legend and an icon in the sports world.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, and you talk about, in the NBA, in all of sport, the NBA is just so different. It's universal across the whole world. It's the most popular, sport that's popular. Like soccer, obviously, everyone, is the most popular sport in the world, but universally followed and the superstars are universally well known throughout the entire world, unlike any other sport. I feel like, excluding like some of them soccer dudes, but like Kobe was the global icon. He was LeBron. There's Jordan, LeBron, and Kobe of our generation.
Yeah,
there's a couple of, maybe Shaq is in that category, but like guys who were just universally known, universally looked up to as icons, like you mentioned, and legends across the entire world. And Kobe was one of those. This was definitely the first time, I think, in my life where like a celebrity death like took me back and like shook me a little bit. Like Michael Jackson was another big one that, one of those same kind of icon people who you remember where you were kind of thing. Yeah. But like he was before our time. And
we didn't have
boys,
the tie.
So
yeah, he was
it wasn't
creepy.
The same. Yeah, by the time he was already like a middle-aged woman by the time we were born and knowing what's going on. So like, but he was one of those popular figures. But I mean, that didn't really do anything for me. But this was like the first time where I was like shook a little bit.
Right. The only time that comes close for me was Heath Ledger. Kind of shook me just because I actually liked him as an actor before.
Yeah.
Dark Knight, but then Dark Knight was like, holy
and propelled
fuck.
Him to like this next level of
it did. So it was kind of shocking.
Superstar.
And he was the Joker, so there's a storyline of him trying to be in character, overdose. But that's the only comparable time to the feeling you were describing with Kobe Bryant passing that I can remember. So
yeah, and Kobe was just that guy for what, 20 years? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
More than that, actually. He came into the league at 18 and he died at 41, and he was the guy who everybody like would look up to and know about. And like you mentioned, like as kids growing up watching basketball, he was the guy. Like Jordan was out, Kobe was the guy, and that's who we grew up emulating and pretending to be in the backyard. So yeah, I felt compelled to write up a blog post and launch our website a little prematurely. If anybody saw that or is listening to this, I forget what the website is. You can go to our Twitter page. It's like CFS Podcast at something or other, Wix / whatever. It's like a whole bullshit thing because I didn't pay for the domain because I'm cheap. But you can find it on there, the blog, titled Remembering a Giant. And I mean, that's really when I look back, that's what Kobe was in my eyes. He was bigger than basketball. He was bigger than sports. He was the giant of our time and our generation. And just his passing, I think everybody was feeling similar ways about it. I mean, a lot of the people, that I follow on Twitter and, watch on TV and things like that are like sports figures because I'm a sports fan and follow sports. But like it was everybody was reacting the same way. I'm in complete and utter shock. So, yeah, I mean, it was weird. It was a weird couple days, but
I thought it was fake. TMZ spilled the beans immediately. Of course, they were first.
Yeah, we were shooting pool when I found out in my buddy's basement, his folks' house. He was doing like a baby shower upstairs with his wife. So the boys were downstairs drinking beers, shooting pool, and we got this like pretty much all of our phones are going off. Like,
right?
What the like this is fucking bullshit. And then as more and more information came out, it's kind of sunk in a little bit. And we're like, what? It's just it took me back a little bit. It was crazy.
Yeah,
it makes you, I don't know, look at your life a little bit different.
Yeah, you see these big time icons, and not just celebrities. Kobe was bigger than that, like we mentioned, and you think they're invincible, like they're gonna last forever. Hell, I remember growing up, not even talking death, just talking retirement. Like growing up, I never pictured the NFL without Peyton Manning, without Tom Brady. Like, but as I got older, I realized, well, shit. There's going to be, what is the NFL even going to look like without the Peyton Manning-Tom Brady rivalry?
Right.
Like that is going to be weird when they step away from the game. Charles Woodson stepped away from the game. It's just, you growing up, you kind of think these players last forever. Now we're at the point where our childhood stars are getting voted into the Hall of Fame, bro.
We're watching guys on TV who are like 3, 4, 5, 6 years younger than us playing in the MLB and the NBA.
Right.
Man, when did we get so old?
So I never even pictured them stepping out of the game. You think your heroes and sports icons last forever, and now obviously this is the extreme. Kobe passing at 41. So it was a weird feeling for the first couple days. Not gonna lie, it's just hard to wrap your mind around, hard to fathom. So. One quick thing to wrap up Kobe. A friend actually shared this on on Twitter. A friend that I had went to high school with and still keep in touch with, and it was a story from Jay Williams about how he showed up at the Staples Center early to get a shoot around when they were playing the Lakers, and Kobe was also having his own workout there, and Jay Williams basically got done, and paraphrasing here, obviously, Kobe basically kept going. And he was doing, obviously, in-game type of shots, not just routine, go around the three, go around to specific spots on the court. And after the game, Jay Williams came up to Kobe and was like, basically asked him, like, what was going on with that? Like, why, was that to prove a point or whatever he asked him? And Kobe basically told him it was because he saw Jay Williams come in early to get his workout in, and Kobe wanted to let him know that it does not matter. I am going to be better than you, and I am going to outwork you while I'm better than you, and nothing you do is going to change that in the game. So just thought, that was a great story that kind of encompassed who Black Mamba was. So with that, hope to get into more NBA talk as football season comes to an end this coming weekend. Always weird that football has to end.
Yeah, 3 days away, right?
Yeah.
Super Bowl Sunday coming up on us. I'm excited for it.
I love Super Bowl Sunday.
Super Bowl post Monday means there's no more for another 8 months.
Except the XFL.
Hey, yeah, we'll get into that. I'm sure that'll be exciting and riveting football, I'm sure. Very technically fundamental.
Your boy, Cardale Jones.
Yeah, we'll see what he does.
Launching it down the field. I don't even know the teams. I got to study up on the teams, but I know he's in it.
Yeah, I think there's like 8 or 10 teams. I mean, I'll watch. Who's not going to watch? But that's the weird thing about, too, like football season, the off season is so long. You know what I'm saying?
It is, but I like that the NFL does a good job of hyping up the off season. I mean, the NFL draft is always fun to follow. Maybe we just think that because the Browns are always in need of a superstar player.
Yeah, it's not the same.
And we're picking top 10, but no. No, they do a great job marketing the NFL draft and whatnot. So looking forward to that. But we want to get into some Super Bowl preview. Just got a few things to talk about to kind of recap the football season. We already did that with college football, with LSU winning that national championship, and now we're going to recap the NFL, and this Sunday we'll find out who is the Super Bowl champion. So I'm going to start with my favorite stat of this season. I got to give a special shout out to Jameis Winston for being the sole member in the 30-30 club. 30 tutties, 30 picks. He got it done in week 16.
30 picks is wild, man.
It's awesome.
So I got interested and I looked into this. Jameis Winston is the first player since 1988, and there's only been 2 from the 80s and on otherwise. There was one in 1980, then 1988, and then this year. Last time a guy threw 30 picks in a season. 1988. And like I said, before that was 80. So 2 guys since 1980 have thrown 30 picks in a season. In an era where we're throwing the ball more than ever. And he drops 30 picks. Well on him, bro.
I love
well on him.
I love it, man. It's
great
awesome.
accomplishment. And he threw like 5,100 yards, but like 30 picks is insane.
I thought he was going to be legit in the NFL.
Yeah,
I mean, did.
Me too, to be honest. He had the size. He had the, talent, like arm talent, physical
It seemed like he
talent.
was, I know he did some dipshit stuff off the field, but it seemed like he had a leadership presence about him too. I don't know.
Some things just don't come together. I mean, he's still in the league, still threw 30 touchdowns. He's a NFL passing leader this year. Like, he's going to get his still. He's going to be in the league, but I don't think anybody's looking at him as like their franchise QB to build around at this point. You know what I'm saying? But who really knows? What is his 5th year in the league? So this will be his 6th year. Yeah, I guess his time's running out a little bit. But he'll still get paid. He'll probably have a decent career. He'll play
paid as a backup.
9 years. He'll probably get 2 more contracts in his career and retire and good for him. Just another average QB who goes through the league. But yeah, like
Yeah.
you, I mean, what, second overall pick?
Yeah.
I think behind Marcus Mariota, if memory
For-
serves, who also is not getting
Yeah.
any playing time.
I
at this
mean, you
point.
get benched for Tannehill.
Who Tannehill actually another interesting stat, which make sure I pull this up correctly, and I don't know where it's at. So if I misspeak, fuck it. One of my favorite stats: quarterback rating leader of the NFL season, Ryan Tannehill.
Get the fuck out of here.
I'm pretty
dude.
sure that's
Oh,
what I saw. Pretty sure that's the stat I saw. So I don't even know what they calculate as quarterback rating and all that kind of goofy shit. But you know, that was a stat that if you had money on it, who would be the leader of quarterback rating at the end of the season? There is no one in this earth who would have picked Ryan Tannehill as their guy. Ryan Tannehill, his wife and mom wouldn't even have picked him to be the leader, and they're his biggest fans. That's one of my stats, favorite stats of the season.
I'm trying to pull up the total stats and sort by rating as soon as ESPN's trash website loads.
It's all about reference, man. Go to
It's
Pro
fucking.
Football Reference.
Oh, I know. I like it better.
They're
I
the
already
only
had
one.
it pulled up. It is Ryan Tannehill.
Ha! Let's go.
He edged out Drew Brees. My God.
Impressive stuff by the old Ryan Tannehill.
That's hilarious.
Last on that list?
I'm cracking up. Ooh.
I don't know if
Is
he's
it
not
Baker
last.
Mayfield?
He's not last, but I think he's second to last. Baker Mayfield.
Oh.
Last on the list was Andy Dalton or something.
Yeah, Andy Dalton is
Yeah.
last.
And he only played like 5 games. Oh, man.
Ugh.
Baker, what a season.
So, speaking of Baker, fuck it. We'll get right into it. Biggest disappointment this year, the Cleveland Stanky Browns.
Yeah, dude, obviously it's got to be the Browns. And it's not just because we're Browns fans and we're big disappointed in what went down this season. Like, I mean, Vegas had them projected, I think, 9.5 wins or something like that. Or maybe it was 9 flat. So if you picked 9 and they won, you would have tied. But regardless, 6 wins, a far cry from 9. It makes me interested now. Like, I kind of want to go back and look up all the numbers, like what the preseason numbers were and who had the biggest, drop off from projected wins to actual. And it's got to be the Browns, dude. 3 below the projected Vegas odds. That is got to be the biggest gap.
Yeah.
I can't even really think of another team that really played terribly all season.
You can think of several teams that beat what they would have been projected for a win total this year, like the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, they won 4 games last year. There's no way they were projected to win that many this year. Now they're in the soup. I can't think of another team that without injuries totally fell off and missed their win mark that Vegas had them at.
Yeah, because I can't really think of who else would have been, like, who else played shitty. Like,
the only other team I mentioned before we started here would be the Chargers. Probably had too good of a roster to fall off a cliff like they did.
Yeah. Oh, here's I'll kind of look through this as we continue the conversation, but yeah, I mean, they're easily the biggest disappointment. So many things fell apart. So much hope and optimism for Browns fans and just fans of the league who, they bring in Odell Beckham Jr. They already have juice. They got Baker coming off, record-setting rookie season. Nick Chubb coming into the season looked like the guy who can be the next guy. Kareem Hunt halfway through the season was getting added to that mix. Defensively, you got Myles Garrett, who was a lot of were projecting was going to push for the Defensive Player of the Year title, and he actually was on pace for being up there if he didn't crack Comey in the head with Selman. What a fucking wild scene. Like that, I still can't believe that fucking occurred, and I've witnessed it on TV. Like, looking back, there's no way that fucking happened, but it did. So, I mean, there was just so much optimism that this would finally be the year, but when you look at the whole grand scheme of things, a lot of things went wrong. Injuries occurred, suspensions occurred. Rookie head coaches who had no idea what the fuck they were actually doing duped a lot of people after pulling things together through a bunch of firings midway through the season before. It was just a disaster, man. It was just a disaster.
It was a
when you
total
lose
disaster,
to
man.
the fucking Bengals, the Broncos, and the Cardinals, and win 6 games. Like, it was kind of there for the taking if you handle your business against the shitty teams of the league, but you can't do that when you're one of the shitty teams in the league. So they suck.
Yeah.
And
that Broncos loss was
that was
pretty
such
terrible.
a poorly coached, poorly managed game. Like everything was kind of in position. Like they had to royally fuck it up. Like make a couple plays and they win that game. And they didn't make any of the plays.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
It was terrible, man. It was terrible. Yeah.
Cardinals game was the tipping point for me when I was like, this fucking team, everybody needs to get got. Like I was kind of on the optimism side, like, okay, maybe Freddie, win a couple games in the season, get some shit figured out, go 8-8. Instead, they lose to the Cardinals and the Bengals to end the season. But after that Cardinals game, I was like, it's over. Like, get this fucking guy and everybody else the fuck out of here because the culture is at an all-time terrible point, which is pretty crazy to say when you're the Cleveland Browns. Obviously, that's.
Did you hear what Jarvis had to say recently?
No, I didn't.
So I forget who was interviewing him, which I feel bad about when I give a shout out to whatever outlet was interviewing him, but it might have just been a random press conference at the Browns facility. Anywho, he basically said, which we all knew, there was no offensive identity, but furthermore, he made it sound like no one had any fucking clue what their actual plan of attack was going to be
because they had
each week, like week to week. He was like, 1 week we decided we were going to be a passing team and pass for 50 times. 1 week we decided we were going to run the ball for 50 times.
Yeah,
he said, basically it was just all over the place, and there was no, sometimes I think it's cliche to say there's no identity, but there is some truth to it as well. There was no consistent plan of attack. There was no consistent. Freddie did nothing to build off of the strengths of the players and offense he had, and it showed.
That's certainly true. And I think the biggest thing that stood out for me for the Browns and why they sucked ass is, it's hard to say because a lot of times I was giving I was blaming the talent being lackluster, the offensive line being booty, things of that nature for reasons why they were struggling. But the biggest thing to me that stood out, and it was said multiple times throughout the season, and I didn't really pick up on it being that big of a deal until everything kind of fell apart. But the fact that they never talked about game planning opposing teams. Like, okay, they always talked about, well, if we do what we're supposed to do and we handle our business, we can beat anybody in this league. Bro, this is the NFL. That's not how it works. You know what I'm saying? How it works is you attack the weaknesses of the other team and then working how you do that using your strengths. But you attack the weaknesses. You don't just like, who fucking cares who we're playing? We're going to do our own thing. That's how you suck ass. That is how you lose every game.
It's the same thing in college football. I mean, LSU was, I know, they were a record offense, but you can point to them. You can point to a team like Ohio State. Dude, they had really good players, knew their strengths, and they freaking attacked and went after weaknesses of their
game
opposition.
plan to the team. Okay, this team does this week. We're going to attack them this way. This next team, they are a different fucking team, obviously, different personnel. They have this weakness. We're going to attack that weakness. The Browns didn't do that. It's almost like they didn't even watch film on the other team. They just watched film on themselves, said, we need to improve on X, Y, Z. Let's improve on X, Y, Z. And once we figure that out, nobody can stop us. Bro, this is the NFL. Defensive coordinators know what the fuck they're doing in this league. And they will stop you, especially when you're doing the same shit every fucking game in and game out.
Yeah.
So that's what first off, why I think they blow ass last year with that coaching staff. But that's when I kind of knew, like, these guys got to get got. Like, once I kind of really fully understood. And Freddie was saying it all season, even to players in press conferences. Yeah, if we just kind of do our thing, get our shit figured out, do what we do best, play, et cetera, we'll get it figured out and we'll start winning games. Like, fuck, dude.
Yeah.
The Patriots go to the playoffs every year with lackluster rosters, not because Tom Brady's the greatest of all time, in my opinion. It's because they attack defenses and attack offenses where they're the weakest and find ways to use their strengths to attack the other team's weaknesses. They game plan for the opposition, unlike the Browns in a single game last year. I mean, they did a couple times. The Ravens, the first time, fucked them up.
Yeah.
Beautiful game. Beautiful game.
That was an anomaly.
It was obvious. I don't know what the fuck happened. I think they just got lucky that one time where it just happened to all align.
It all clicked.
Got all on tape, and they adjusted, and the Browns didn't adjust. The Browns just got lucky that their approach to that game happened to work.
Yeah.
And then it never worked again because they didn't build off anything.
Yeah, that overall principle that you were just speaking about really bothers me. I can't stand when coaches try to force their system onto players they have. Like, your system should be whatever you fucking have as players and playing to their strengths. I remember Mark Helfrich, the coach of Oregon, going into the national championship game versus Ohio State. They ran 3-4, 3-3-5 stack, 3 down linemen. And people were questioning that because, they don't have the big monsters up front like a team like Ohio State has or Bama or whoever. And they were questioning, are you going to go up against an option attack and a zone with Ezekiel Elliott? And he said, yeah, we are what we are. We're going to run, this is what we do. I knew right then. I was like, dude,
how'd that work out?
If you don't have something special for Ezekiel Elliott and Urban Meyer in a national championship game, you're fucked. You're going to lose. I knew right that I had already thought Ohio State was going to win. But when I heard that, that right there is over. It's done. It's done. So I can't stand when coaches try to do that, force their system on players that they inherit or think that they're just everyone in the NFL can fucking drop a play that's going to work, bro.
Exactly. These guys are the NFL, man. Fucking high school coaches can do that. But that's kind of what not to make this a whole, Browns episode, but just real quick. That's kind of what worries me a little bit about, first year head coaches in general. That's kind of a big concern a lot of times because it's hard to kind of figure out how to maneuver a lot of those things as first year head coach. That's kind of what worries me a little bit with Kevin Stefanski coming over from the Vikings, obviously head coach of the Browns now. 1 year spent as offensive coordinator with the Vikings. Like, is he going to bring? Everyone's talking about like, oh, the system he runs is this. This is what he does. He already signed a fullback. First thing Andrew Berry does when he gets signed on as GM is fucking get Kevin Stefanski, a fullback who probably won't even make the team, but that's irrelevant, neither here nor there. So the only thing that contradicts that is if he runs that same system, we just happen to have that, zone read type stuff. We just happen to have probably the best zone read running back in the league in Nick Chubb. So yes, please bring more fucking zone type fullback running, let Nick Chubb find holes and feast.
I like it.
But it still worries me, especially they hire this new coordinator who was a QB coach for the Bengals last season. Like, he ain't calling plays. I don't know if they've announced it yet or not, but you can almost assuredly he ain't calling plays. Never called plays in his career. He's not going to come from QB coach with Green Bay, then Cincinnati, to calling plays with Cleveland Browns instead of the head coach who just called plays an entire season and won a playoff game against our Super Bowl pick, one of the better teams in the league. Kevin Stefanski, whether or not, like I said, they announced it or not, Stefanski's going to be calling plays. Yeah, but that worries me. That worries me. First year head coach calling plays in a new system, a new offense. Hopefully it all comes together. But like I said, luckily, if he's going to translate that Vikings offense that he ran with Dalvin Cook with Nick Chubb, it's probably going to work out pretty well because Nick Chubb's pretty fucking good.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely want to get into all of the new hires and what's going on with the Browns. We haven't done a Browns episode in a while. Rightfully so. I mean, fuck them. They suck. But their season was a total disaster. You go from an interim coach going 7-8-1. Baker, was on pace to set records as a rookie, and we come out this year, add more weapons, and totally stink. So, in a separate podcast, I want to get into judging Dorsey and what the fuck transpired, and then talk about these new hires and kind of what we as Browns fans should expect.
Oh, and quick on your point that you had previously, the biggest drop off of projected wins versus what actually occurred from preseason, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I haven't gone through all the numbers. I just kind of looked skimming real quick, but it has to be the Chargers, who were projected to win 10 games going into the season and won 5. So 5 below. I haven't looked through every number, but I'm willing to venture
That
out and
might
say
take the
that's
cake.
got to be the winner right there. So yeah, 10 to
I had
5,
a feeling,
5
man,
below.
because
And the Browns,
they've drafted
like I said,
well.
were 9, so they were 3 left.
They have a decent amount of talent there. I didn't really follow the Chargers closely to really speak on them, but they definitely, them and the Browns are probably the top 2 by a long shot on biggest disappointing teams this year.
Yes.
So let's flip that over to the biggest surprise team this year. You could arguably say the 49ers are, after winning only 4 games, I believe, last year, to ending up in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills. I know Josh Allen didn't necessarily, light it up, and I don't think he's going to be some prolific quarterback in the league for all that long. However, I really thought he was going to bust when he was coming out of college. I like McDermott as a coach, and that roster is all right, but it's not like it's not like if you looked up their roster, it would blow you away with talent. So what they were able to do and make the playoffs, I really respect, and I don't think it's going to last. Like I said, I don't think Josh Allen is the answer for a franchise at QB, but for them to string together the amount of wins they did and make the playoffs was impressive to me.
Yeah, dude, that's definitely got to be one of them. 10 wins. If you talk about talent, like, did they have more talent than the Cleveland Browns, who won 6 games?
No.
I don't think so.
No.
But you're looking at the biggest disappointment. The Chargers, though, looking at the Chargers, how much disappointment were they? Like, were they really supposed to be good? I don't know how they were projected to win 10 games. But anyways,
they have a lot of good players, man.
Yeah, I guess so.
They did.
Their D line was stacked. They still had Phil Rivers. I don't know. I guess they do got some talent on the outside too. Mel Gordon, who didn't play the first few weeks.
Even Eckler was tearing it up at running back.
Yeah.
Anywho.
Yeah, they fell off the rails a little bit. Anyways, the Bills, their projected wins was 7.5, and they won 10. That's solid prediction. They did play. I was going to say, first comment I was going to make was their division was trash. And it was early in the year when they played them and the Patriots played them. They got a bunch of their wins against the Jets and the Dolphins, who combined won 12 games. So, like, what the fuck happened between those two teams? They were so booty, and all of a sudden they started winning. So that it doesn't, their schedule doesn't look as bad as we thought it did early in the year. But yeah, that's definitely a fair surprise team. I think.
Can I just fit this in here that
Sure.
the fucking Jets have a better record than the Cleveland Browns?
Oh yeah, how wild is
with
that?
Adam Gase, bro?
How wild is that?
Sam Darnold didn't even play the whole fucking season.
Yeah, they must have went on a little run because they're, I wasn't really paying attention to them obviously because they were, irrelevant. But they ended the season strong. Let's count these up: 1, 2, 3. Oh, they lost to the Bengals, though.
Ouch. So did we.
Fifth last. Well, yeah, I know, but assuming they should have won that game, that puts them at 8-8, which is insane.
God damn it! All right, sorry,
So
I
anyways,
derailed you.
Oh, no worries. I think my surprise team, you mentioned San Francisco 49ers, looking up at this list, projected 8.5, won 13 games. That's got to be the biggest jump.
Who was that? What team was that?
The 49ers
The
were
Niners?
projected 8.5 and won 13 games.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's the biggest leap. I'd have to, go through all the numbers. But wait, how many Lions win? They were projected 7. How many win? 4? I guess.
Yeah, they're picking 3 overall, so I would say
Yeah.
it's definitely
No,
4
anyway.
or less. Bro.
But anyways, I think my surprise team, I have to admit, it's got to be the Ravens. I did not think they were going to put their shit together. They were, when we did one of our first preseason projections, we talked about, going back to this list of odds of projected wins. And we had who's a team that we think is going to win more games and who's going to a team that wins less. And I'm pretty sure, if memory serves, that the Ravens were my under team, and they were projected to win 8 games. I was projecting them to win less than 8 games, and they obviously got the number 1 seed, went into the playoffs as the hottest team in the league. What, they went 14-2 or something like that?
Yeah, they were 14-2, bro.
Last loss before the playoffs was the fucking Browns in week 4, I think, something like that. So, they have to be the biggest surprise. Their defense, they add Marcus Peters and
that was a huge acquisition.
Took the fuck off. Their defense was actually struggling. Everyone was giving them credit. Oh, best defense in the league. They're coming in. They're the best secondary, all this and that. I'm like, where? And they kind of
Yeah.
struggled early on. And then they add Marcus Peters, and just that was like the missing piece that pulled everything together. And they just completely dominated. And then Lamar
They extended
Jackson,
his contract too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah. And then, Lamar Jackson, I still have my apprehensions on if he's going to be long-term stud, but he's going to win the MVP. And he obviously surprised not only me, but most of the league, and doing what he did. I mean, a lot of people may have projected him to, ball out this year, but there's no way anybody projected him to put up the stats that he did, win the MVP and all kind of things like that. So they got to be the biggest surprise, in my opinion, of the season. And then equally as surprising almost that they lost the way they did in the playoffs so early. I guess not really that surprising seeing, the matchup leading into the game. I didn't have any faith that, they were going to win. That matchup didn't really bode well for them if things kind of, the Titans put things together, which they did. But the fact that they won 14 games, surprise everybody, and then just one and done out of the playoffs after a first round bye. That was also surprising, but they've got to be my, biggest surprise of the season.
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, you kind of have to say that after bashing Lamar Jackson and the Ravens all year. So
Yep.
It's like a makeup call there.
Got to admit when you're wrong sometimes, and I certainly was. But, I'm still not going to just go out and say he's just going to take over the league. I think he's definitely going to regress next season. I think defenses are definitely going to respond and work to slow him down. But the only thing that I think is also going to happen is, how we talk about, defenses adjusting to stop Lamar Jackson in that offense. Lamar Jackson in the offense is going to adjust, one would assume, to attack what defenses are going to do. The only difference is I don't think Lamar Jackson can actually throw the ball very well, as we saw in the playoff game, threw like 50 times and was just terrible. So if you force him to throw, which the Browns did and beat him, which the Titans did and beat him, but I mean, it's easier said than done. But I think defenses will find ways to, take his legs at least a little bit away, force him to throw early in the second half, and then they're kind of screwed. But you could do that 5-6 times and they still win the division. So
yeah, and I could see both ways. I could see, him trending down the path you're describing, and I could also see him maybe not, excelling from what he put together this year. But I could see him being. I like that the Ravens franchise went, ride or die style with roster construction. They drafted Lamar, and it was like, all right, this is it. We're committing to this. This is it.
Last year in the playoffs, they're like, even before the playoffs, like, all right, you're the guy now.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Yeah. I mean, they got young skill positions. They went out and got Mark Ingram for a talented running back. They drafted tight ends to run their heavy sets. I mean,
like
I don't
know. The wherewithal of that organization to have Joe Flacco forever, win a Super Bowl with Joe Flacco, and then midway through the season, towards the end of the season, into the playoffs, like, all right, Flacco, get the fuck out of here. Our rookie is going to come in and lead us into the playoffs. They didn't win. They lost to the Chargers, I think, last year. So they lose, but then obviously that set up what was to come this season. And then what the fuck did we just see? MVP, 14-win season, setting up for the future. So they're just such a well-organized organization, and they understand talk about identity. They understand what their identity is. They understand how to build a team a certain way that builds them for success. And why do they have to be in the fucking AFC North?
Dude, they've had like my favorite drafts too, like including the one with Lamar Jackson, like just the whole pool of players they got. I mean, got Oklahoma shit out some serious NFL talent here recently, but they got Hollywood Brown, Mark Andrews. I think they got Orlando Brown too, the tackle, the offensive tackle that came out of Oklahoma as well. But just then signing Ingram, then this year midseason they trade for Marcus Peters, and then get him extended under contract for the next I think like a 3-year deal there.
A guy who controversy has surrounded him pretty much his whole career. They like, we'll be all right. They fucking go get the dude, bring him in, and he instantly makes an impact and is like the missing piece of the puzzle that put it all together. And like a move like that not many teams would have had the balls to make a move like that.
Yeah. So, they're a well run organization, and they should be the Cleveland Browns. So fuck them, and fuck Art Modell. Rest in hell, you piece of shit. Just kidding, but not really.
No,
I'm glad he's not in the Hall of Fame.
Fuck him.
So yeah, we get to look forward to that potential machine in the division. And I hope you're right.
Joe Burrow also, good.
I hope you're right with what you're saying about the Ravens from the Browns' perspective.
According to anything I said this past year, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. So
yeah.
So we get fucking Lamar Jackson and Joe Burrow twice a year for the next fucking 15 years.
And the Steelers' defense has a trio of young players that are going to be elite. TJ Watt, Devin Bush, and Minkah Fitzpatrick. Each level, bro. Edge rusher, in the middle, and in the secondary.
They'll probably draft the next fucking who knows who quarterback to play.
They'll find a quarterback. Yeah. Their second rounder. They're going to hit on some other defensive stud. It's sad. We suck. So moving on, Tom Brady had a little post here just this evening before I got over here to record, I think.
Yeah, I saw it right before we started the podcast, and it said like an hour ago or something like that. So
yeah,
right now it's 9. We've been on for 40 or so minutes, so this probably came out 7ish, something like that. And it's basically just Tom Brady silhouetted with a field behind him, which one would assume is New England Foxborough. I guess it's what they call it over there, right?
Yes.
So big rumors and thoughts and all that kind of stuff and assumptions are, what is Tom Brady going to do? One would assume he is out at New England with all, like I said, I wouldn't say reports, but putting things together, points and hints, I guess, if you want to call it that. He gone.
I think so too, man. And we had talked about this before recording this. San Diego might be the spot. Phillip Rivers has already packed his bags. He's already moved to Florida, I think. Yeah, I think that was the ESPN report.
Phil Rivers dipped the fuck out of
He is gone already.
That whole...
Brady is from California.
It makes a lot of sense, bro. It makes a lot of sense.
So
they need a QB. They're on the cusp. I mean, they were projected to win 10 games last year. They have talent on both sides of the ball. If you need a stable QB to fill in there, kind of makes a lot of sense.
Brady.
He's also fucking 87 years old, though, so doesn't mean they're not going to sign him. Also, they're in LA. They want fucking asses in the seats.
Yeah.
Fill the stadium. How are you going to do that? How about bring the GOAT in?
Yeah,
people will come to the games, and they'll win some games,
will.
I'm sure.
No, that
it just
more
makes
so
too
from
much sense.
A marketing sense.
That's
it
what
almost makes sense. Not even from a winning sense.
Yeah. It just makes too much sense. Like the fan base in LA, you're trying to establish that, build that up. Just LA in general, who the fuck cares about football out there? Probably not the whole lot of people, I would imagine. So you're trying to build a new franchise, basically, in a new city. What better way to bring the most popular player in the NFL as the face of your franchise for the next 2 years or whatever?
Dude, I got to get used to referring to them as the LA Chargers. I think I was saying San Diego
dude,
earlier.
I was looking
possibly.
at this odds win totals thing, and I was looking for San Diego because it's in alphabetical order according to city. I'm like, where the fuck is the Chargers? I'm like, oh yeah, they're Los Angeles now.
You were going to have to get used to the Las Vegas
Raiders. Another spot that might make some decent amount of sense for Tom Brady to go, speaking of. Don't think they're going to move away from Carr. He's got a big contract.
I've heard, I've seen some shit that Gruden wants to move on from Carr.
I was surprised they didn't try to move him last year, to be honest, because I didn't really think he was so high on Carr. But
if they were going to do it, why would you wait?
That's what I mean. Like, I thought they might have done it last year. They didn't. So what are they going to do now? He's getting paid a lot of money. Who's going to want him? Because he didn't really ball out or anything like that. So you'd have to trade him. Who's going to want him with that contract? Like, it's like a whole
they've got
thing. It's almost ride or die at this point,
right?
With Carr,
they've got a lot of picks to move up in the draft if they so choose. I don't know. We'll see. They've got 2 this year. I think they sit at 12 for sure. I know 12. I think they sit at 18 as well.
Yeah, Carr has 3 years remaining on his contract, making about 21.5 million a year. Actually, with with some signing bonus money. It's around 25,000 per year. So, he's getting paid. He's got 3 years left on the deal. They're really going to just bounce from him. But like you said, with the picks, could they make some moves? If I were them, I would ride it out with Derek Carr and try to put some pieces. I mean, you got all those picks. Put some pieces together around him. He's competent enough to win some games. So
I think so.
Don't to move up in the draft or to go get somebody. What's their first pick?
12.
12. Okay.
Yeah. Jerry Jeudy might be there.
Dude, that would make a lot of sense.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
You trade Amari. You kind of need that guy. Kind of makes a lot of sense.
Now, Jerry Jeudy is easily good enough. Like, he grades as like a top 5 overall player in my book. But with QB needs and other studs like Chase Young and Okudah are guaranteed top 5. I think you see, obviously, Joe Burrow, probably Tua go top 5 because of QB needs. I think that. And then a lot of teams are projected to take an offensive tackle. The tackle class is just loaded, and we definitely are going to get into the draft as we get closer to like the combine. But while we're talking about the Raiders, Jerry Jeudy could slip to 12, and I mean that would be a huge addition. You got Josh Jacobs at running back already. Then you add someone like Jeudy, who he's a boss.
Yeah, dude, he's going to be a beast. And like I said, you trade Amari, you need a new number 1. Tyrell Williams, let's be honest, is not going to be that guy.
He's not it, but if he's the number
solid
2
piece,
guy.
Yeah, he's a solid piece. He's a good guy. So I would that makes a lot of sense for them to address wide receiver to start their draft. But they obviously got a lot of other holes as well.
Yeah.
But they got a lot of picks. They still need D-line help. They still need defense help in general. Their offensive line could use some boosts.
Their D-line is pretty good. But yeah, I'm excited.
Well, yeah, they got that cat from Clemson last year in the first round.
They had a rookie this year, and I forget his name.
Yeah, the cat from
I know
Clemson.
a Raiders. No, but it wasn't
Farrell
him
or whatever.
It wasn't him that emerged. It was some random late
gotcha.
rounder that was arguably their best interior defensive lineman. They got Mo Hurst from Michigan. I think they have Arden Key from
they got
LSU.
Jonathan Hankins. I know that.
So, anywho,
Buckeye.
We're definitely gonna, like you said earlier, NFL offseason is really fun to follow with the combine, the draft, free agency. There's some big names like fucking Tom Brady this year. I think we both agree. Chargers makes a lot of sense.
Dude,
he could be heading there.
Much sense.
I think
too much sense.
I think Phillip Rivers could be heading to Tampa Bay.
Move to LA with his family and Giselle being in the industry of whatever you want to call that. Pop culture, I guess. Yeah. A model living in LA makes a lot of sense with her pop culture kind of influence. Tom Brady, like you said, California guy going back out there. Team needs a QB and like a team that's close. There's not a lot of teams that are close that like need a QB but don't need like a rookie QB. Chargers are one of them by all counts because Phil Rivers is pieced out already. It just makes too much sense. It just makes too much sense.
It's going to happen, I think. And I really, it's not going to hurt. Tom's legacy is cemented. But
dude's got 6 rings, bro.
I really don't want to have to watch him deteriorate. So
he's not going to just walk away from the game, bro.
Well, I get that,
but to retire, he's got some juice left in the tank, according to him. I want to see what he does out there away from Belichick. You know what I'm saying?
Me too. I want to see.
So yeah, that's definitely going to be the interesting thing to follow. Like I mean, there's a lot of free agents, but like, and it's not even to say that he's going to have the biggest impact of all the free agents. I don't think that he will, but it's just the most interesting to me.
It's just the biggest
guy
name.
who spent his entire
Brady.
career, won 6 rings in New England, is the face of the organization's history, and just pieces out to go across the U.S. to play for a conference rival. I hope that happens. I'm interested to see, and I'm also interested to see what happens with the Patriots post Brady. Everyone's like, is it Brady or is it Belichick? Why are they so good, or is it both of them together have to be? They make each other good. Like, what is making the Patriots so elite?
I might make
Brady make Belichick so good, or the other way around. Or
I might make a blog post about coaching in general and expectations and that whole relationship with the QB, like that whole thing. Like, it can be both. You need both.
No, definitely.
what is Andy Reid going to do in Kansas City? Like, I know Alex Smith wasn't a bum by any means by that point in the career, but like, what you think he'd be that good in Kansas City without going from Alex Smith to Patty Mahomes? I mean, it can be both.
Yeah.
What do you think Nick Saban would have been in the NFL if he had a QB?
Probably good.
I think he was like one game under 500 in his NFL career before he pieced out of there back to college. So, yeah, that whole thing fires me up about saying, oh, this QB is only good because of the system, or, this coach is only as good as the QB. And it's like, whatever, man. Whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. If you're a coach and you have a talented player, you got to, like, I can go buy a Ferrari, but I could go out there and not know how to fucking drive it in manual and crash it and, let it burn. Like Freddie Kitchens inheriting Odell Beckham and Baker Mayfield.
Lewis Hamilton, the greatest driver in the world, driving a fucking PT Cruiser. Not going to be able to do a whole lot with it.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, Anywho, the NFL free agency in offseason is always intriguing. So,
yeah, and I'm getting excited to jump into the draft as well. I know
absolutely.
We talked about wrapping up the NFL season and kind of moving on, but NFL dominates all season, all year long.
I love it.
So the draft is going to be upcoming here in a couple months, actually quicker than we think. So we're going to have some big things here on Calling the Field Stands for that.
I like it.